Hi and welcome to the November Book Squad video. If you haven't watched one of these videos before, every month I choose a book, some suggested by yourselves, to read for a month, and then at the end of the month I come and tell you what I thought of it and hopefully what you thought of it too. So November's book was The Peshawar Lancers by SM Stirling, which was chosen by Pow Science, who is at Pow Science on Twitter. Thank you very much for the suggestion. So let's just jump right in. I don't think I've caught my breath since I finished this book. It has taken me most of the month to read this book. It's quite a thick book anyway, you know, it's not a light volume, and it is so packed full of detail, packed full of action. It doesn't have a huge build up and context setting to the storyline at the beginning. There's a very short amount of context before you are just thrown headfirst into this story, which just doesn't let up. I mean, it is very, very full on. You need to be able to devote your attention to it when you are reading it. It's not a light read. It's not something you could sort of half-heartedly read. And like I say, you do sort of feel a bit out of breath every time you read it, I think. And by the end of it, I think I was as tired as the characters were, to be honest. The whole premise is late 1700s, early 1800s. There is a comic strike, which means that effectively there is kind of a bit of an ice age. I wouldn't say it's a proper ice age, you know, the whole world turns cold, but a big enough event that basically the British Empire relocates itself to India, and effectively it's modern day. I mean, I think most of this is set in 2025, 2025 is when this book is set. It's actually ahead of where we are now, and it is still the British Empire, and it's just an imagining of what the world might be like had that happened. And the interesting thing is that a lot of these scientific and technical developments haven't happened, presumably because a lot of our focus has been towards other things and surviving, you know, without sort of mass hunger and crop loss, etc. They don't have internet, they don't have phones, I don't think they have electricity. In fact, I think it's mainly all gas and steam powered. Their main transportation for really long journeys is blimps, is airships basically, and that's quite important to the storyline with what happens towards the end. You've effectively got the British Empire, which takes over India, Pakistan, I think Afghanistan, kind of the majority of sort of Indian Asian kind of areas. What is currently the UK, the British Isles, is still there, but it's not sort of the hub of everything. And you also have other parts of the empire. I think it includes Australia and New Zealand and a few others. I think the Americas are in there as well. So there's quite a few that come under this sort of umbrella of the empire. And then sort of the other biggest power that you've really got is Russia. And they have a Tsar, and this book is mainly about kind of a political plot that is in play to try and bring around the downfall of the empire. But there's a little bit of fantasy thrown in there as well, and one of the things that I really liked was it wasn't a case of a big sort of threat to the government to bring about the downfall of the empire. It was almost like concentrating on a domino effect. So on the Russian side, you have a character called Yasmini, and she is called a true dreamer, which means that she can dream into the future. So she doesn't see the future exactly as what will happen. She sees many of the possibilities, and she can see the outcome of, if something happens, this is what will happen as a result. And that is used by the Russians, and what she sees is that if Athelstan and his sister are killed, then the empire will at some point in the future fall. And I liked that the kind of magical element with the foresight wasn't too overplayed. There were only a couple of times where it was really used almost like a magical power. The rest of the time it was quite woolly and vague, and I liked that. To be honest, I found this book really fascinating. I'm not going to lie, it was quite hard going, and I did worry I wasn't going to make it to the end by the end of the month. But I'm so glad I did stick it out and I made it to the end, because it was absolutely fascinating. And I found that the more I got into the book, the more I started to click with the characters. Probably for the first half of the book, the characters were just there. I wouldn't say I had any real strong feeling towards any of them. And then from about halfway in onwards, actually I had quite a strong feeling for a lot of the characters. So yeah, I found it really, really interesting, really enjoyable. Thank you very much, Pal, for suggesting it. So let's go and have a look at what some of you thought. We have Ken Major from Twitter, he actually posted a review about this on Goodreads. He says, what I loved practically about this book was the clash of cultures. You had places such as Oxford and Delhi being two of the main settings. Why the low score? I really struggled to connect with the characters. I'm not sure if the fantastic world building just made them seem bland, but I couldn't identify with any of them. About halfway through, I realised I had no investment with them, even though I didn't find the book as a chore, as the prose was written well. I didn't see the point in carrying on, which is a shame, as I really felt it had huge potential to be a fantastic read. I can understand that it took me a long time to actually connect with any of the characters. Then the Nerd Book Review, who is at Nerd Book Review on Twitter, said, I read Peshawar Lancers and enjoyed it. Obviously a colonial story, but where the Brits has to move everyone to India after a comet hit the Northern Hemisphere. Also loved the alternate history and SM Stirling in general. Honestly, SM Stirling sometimes feels like my guilty little secret in the midst of my reviews and epic grimdark fantasy. I love the Emberverse series and pre-order the books every year. They're mostly in the northwest US where I live. So glad you really liked it. It seems like you're a really big fan of SM Stirling, so I will definitely look up some of his books, and maybe I'll be reading some of those into 2018. And then finally, Pow Science, who is at Pow Science, says, haha, it's my suggestion and I'm maybe 50 pages in. November, December is just not the time for me to participate in anything but work, sleep and food. Oh, Pow. Absolutely, I can understand that, and it is a quite a heavy going book to get yourself thrown into, especially at a very busy time of the year. But when you do finish it, let me know what you made of it and whether you enjoyed it. I presumed that you'd actually read it before, and that's why you were suggesting it. So when you do finish it, please let me know what you thought of it, and I'm sure we can engage in a big Twitter conversation about the book. So that is it for the Peshawar Lancers, which means it is now time to decide on a book for December. So with the December book squad, it's actually going to be quite an early one, because hopefully it's going to feature as part of our Geekmas thing that we have going on Jack and the Geekstalk. So for the first 25 days of December, from the 1st of December up until Christmas Day, every day we will be posting something new on one of our channels, whether it be on our blog, on YouTube, on our Facebook account, or one of our podcasts. We will be posting something new every day, and we have called it Geekmas. So hopefully this video is going up on the 30th of November, which means that will be starting from tomorrow. So please go and make sure that you are following our Twitter, our YouTube, our Facebook, that you know how to find our podcast, and that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel, so you don't miss out on any of the festive goodness that is coming your way. Hopefully it's mostly going to be entertaining. But as part of that, we're hoping to get Book Squad in there as one of the Geekmas days. So that means it will be coming out slightly earlier this month, rather than coming out right at the end of December. Squad should be going up before the 25th. I am going to try and schedule it as close to the 25th as we can. Possibly it may even be the Christmas Eve video. But that does mean that I didn't want to choose anything that was too big and thick, or too all-consuming, and something. But I did want to choose something Christmassy, I did have a possible book in mind which would have been a reread for me, but then Ken Major came in with a suggestion which I immediately fell in love with. So Ken's suggestion, which has been chosen as our Christmas read, is The Adventure of the Christmas Pudding by Agatha Christie, and is a Hercule Poirot story. I love Poirot. I have read the other Poirot adventures. I don't have a copy of the book yet because I have literally just chosen this book today as soon as I saw the tweet from Ken, but that is what I will be reading in December, and I'd love it if some of you would join me and tell me what you make of it. I do appreciate that because this is going to be a shorter month, we may not all have time to get it finished, but we will put out a tweet when the video is being filmed, and do let me know what you make of it, however far into it you get in amongst the madness that is preparing for Christmas. And then I will also be looking to choose a book for 2018, and I have no idea what as of yet. I think I may go and raid my shelves and see if there are any books I have that I haven't yet read. I don't think there are, but it might be a good excuse to buy a new book before Christmas. That's my plan anyway. So thank you for joining me again this time, and I will see you next time for a very special Christmas Book Squad. Bye!